when it comes to leading, a lot of times that's getting people that you may feel inferior to, like perhaps the board, to recognize what it is they need to say yes to, or to encourage the company to do from a point of view of being cyber resilient or cyber ready. And the boards tend to push, if I recall our conversation, readiness, right? The idea, but resilience is the capacity to deal with what everyone says is not if, but when, right? It's always coming. So
Yep. Yep.
just to frame this readiness versus resilience, you told a great story about a cyber security response, incident response, and the idea that suddenly nobody could talk to anyone. And there was a reason for that. Do you remember this? I'll remind you with more if you don't.
Yeah, keep going, because I have like 5
Well,
examples.
nobody knew anyone's phone numbers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell me about. So you see, suddenly nothing works.
Yeah.
Your phone doesn't open, and you're like, oh really? I don't remember anything with my childhood phone number, and that's not going to do me any good.
Yeah, and the irony, that company was not and we work with all types and sizes, but in the case that you're talking about, the example we discussed, this was a probably $100 million, very large commercial roofing company. And they go, oh, that's interesting, but well, even they can get hacked, right? They're not thinking about cyber threats, but they had some cyber protection in place. Sure enough, there was an incursion, complete disruption and hijacking of their system. It was a ransomware situation. They wanted $1 million, and literally all of the backup data and the original data and backup data were both corrupted. Literally, no one had any phone numbers unless you were pre-programmed into your phone. Right? There were no backup plans. There was very little resilience. Now, this organization, they did have a baseline readiness approach, and it's ultimately what saved them in the end. It took them almost 6 weeks, almost 2 months to actually recover the data. They ended up not paying the ransom. But the reality is that's not resilience, right? It would be like, yeah, I probably can run the race. Maybe I can run a half marathon, but am I going to run it in pain and tear my Achilles, right? Or do I actually have the capacity to do it when the pressure is on? And so when we think about this specific issue, right, we're comparing readiness and resilience. And I think boards, they push what I call the artifacts of readiness, right? Which are policies, playbooks, backup systems, plans and roadmaps. And they're great. That's sort of par for the course. That's important. But real resilience is, okay, when push comes to shove, can we actually operate under stress? When people are pointing fingers, can we coordinate across silos? Do we have a practiced response when things go wrong? What would you do in this case, right? So moving past playbooks into scenario planning, and then almost simulation in some cases. The really great CISOs and organizations will actually run some simulations. I live off the coast of Seattle here, and will occasionally, the city and the local state will do, local government and state will do earthquake drills, right? So everyone hears about it in the radio, and we want to practice that because the big one is due. So are we doing the same thing with cyber threats? The problem is, particularly at the board level, folks that view authority in the system as really the arbiter of decision-making are often not pushed back against, right? So if the board is restricting assets and resources by virtue of the CEO, oftentimes the CISOs, they just say, okay, well, I guess we can't do it. And that's the wrong way to think about creating resilience, right? There are many things that can be done, even on low budgets or virtually no budgets, to build that capacity.